Cảm ơn. All right, evening. I'm seeing only 9 students, 8 students, 9 students, and the class was merged. I'm not sure what has happened to the other students. So Dr. Gudapati is going to come in and help us in terms of giving her perspective on putting together a PowerPoint presentation in terms of including images and all of that. I wanted to know for the persons who are working on your outline, do you have anything you want to show me? She's coming in at 6 o'clock because I know persons are still trying to make it home and all of that. Is there anything that you guys want to share, show me, or? Can somebody respond? Let me just know that you're hearing me because there's absolute silence and I'm not sure.
Hearing, well, I stepped away. I just come back.
Right.
Evening, sir.
Evening. Is there anything that you guys want to show me before we move on, or?
As in with the last piece of
Yes.
assignment.
Right. So is it that, for example, the thing that I gave you for your mid-semester, the quote-unquote manuscript speech, is there anything you want to ask, any questions in relation to that? Is it that you have started working on putting the PowerPoint together? Anything at all?
No, sir. I remember you said that I wasn't in a group yet. So today you would
Right, you are not in a group.
Sir?
Yes, I remember. Because there are some
I am
persons
not
who are
also in
here.
a group, sir.
All right, so you and Luke already are in the same group then.
Okay, sir.
It means that I need to also find a document for you. Okay, so let me find that. Is there any person? I'm not seeing the persons from the previous lecture in the class, from the previous oral class. I'm not seeing them. I'm only seeing my original students. I'm not sure. They were at the last lecture, and I know the class has still been merged. There are no changes in terms of that. Let me post the link in the WhatsApp group. I don't know if there's an issue in terms of logging in.
Mr. Clark.
Yes.
I think maybe this merger is an issue. There is supposed to be the head of school that's supposed to come on tomorrow and talk to us for HRM. But if we look at it, when a class is merged, we might be tapping into a time that they have a class.
No. Oh, yes.
Yes,
it could be. It could be.
Exactly. So
yes, that's true.
So
right, you're so correct. I know that we have an academic staff meeting tomorrow. We're supposed to have a second. I have an academic meeting tomorrow, academic staff meeting tomorrow. So, all right. So it could be that they have a class at this time. So that might be an issue for real. So the challenge is therefore, if they're not here, it could be that they are actually in another class at this time. And because I have 31 on my list here, and they would have been included in it because I'm seeing some of the names that I never used to call. For example, McCollum, I don't remember ever calling, and Dianca, I don't remember ever calling that name. So they're still on my list. So it could be that they are free on a Monday, but not on a Wednesday. That's another possibility. That's another possibility. Give me one second, let me clean who's. So that makes things a little bit difficult and challenging. All right, give me one sec, because I talking to a colleague, trying to see, wondering where the students are.
Good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening. Give me one sec. All right, so let's probably start where let's do some of our or articulation exercises. I think I think Lisanne was the one that pointed out that it could be that there's a clash, and it could be that they're able to come on a Monday but not on a Wednesday. That's a strong possibility as well. Oh, okay. So let's do some of our some of our breathing and articulation exercises. Let me go into, I think, Georgette has shared the stuff for us. So let's start with those and then we get into other matters. And then the whole group thing for the mid-semester now, it becomes a little bit challenging because if they are going to be a part of the class, and that's because the class was merged. I don't think it will change. I don't think that will change. My only issue now is because Oran and another person is not in a group. And if we never had new students, they would have been filtered into a group.
Sir,
Yes.
For our original group and the group that came over on Monday, is the same thing, like we have one for tutorial and one for lecture. That would be the same thing for them, one lecture.
I have no idea. You see, this tutorial and lecture thing, I've never understood it. I don't think the institution, well, let me rephrase because I'm a part of the institution. I don't think they have properly thought it through. The model of tutorial and lectures, I don't think they have properly thought it through. We have been to meetings where several of the lecturers themselves don't understand the model because it's not so clear to the students.
Mm-hmm.
My understanding of a lecture and a tutorial is that you have the lecture and then you have the tutorial with something else happens, and usually the tutor is different from the lecturer. And the way the system is structured, you know when it's a tutorial versus a lecture. I don't know that the model that we're using is working. So I've never followed that lecture tutorial. I just teach. Once you're in my class, I just do my thing. What I usually do is try to use the half, either the last 45 minutes or hour as the tutorial. That's what I try to do, but I've never understood Excelsior's model of that. All right.
Why I ask those, sir, because some of the other group, they're not here. So I was wondering if they had one teacher or two.
No, because the class was merged, because they came to the class late. You don't understand what I'm saying to you, that they are from a different oral communication class and the class was merged. So they are now a part of my class. So Lisanne mentioned the fact that it could be that they have a class at this time, which is actually a strong possibility. So it could mean that they are free on a Monday, but they're not free on a Wednesday because the timetable has not been revised as yet. So this is why I'm not seeing them today, but there are supposed to be 33 people in the class, even on the classes I got for this class today, and none of them are here. All of my original students are here, but they are not. So what I have to bear in mind that they're still a part of the class until I'm advised otherwise. I don't think it will change. I think they will remain a part of the class because these are economic decisions that were made by the administration, and I'm a part of senior admin, so I'm privy to the decision-making process. So what I will do is I just need to give you and what's the other person's name? Parks.
Luke, sir.
Oh,
Luke.
sir.
Luke Harris. Is it Luke Harris?
Correct, sir.
Right, right. So I just need to give you and him your document, because what happened, everybody got a document and you're going to convert that document into a speech. But of course, the speech is accompanied by PowerPoint presentation using text, image, audio, and sound. And my apologies for posting the lecture late, from the last class late, but it was from a previous lecture. And then today, Dr. Gudapati is going to come and again do some assistance. And then also Panton, Mr. Panton is going to come on Monday to help us again in terms of that. Because when they do that, when you get the additional assistance, it will carry over as well into your TED Talk, because a TED Talk will kind of take a similar approach. It's just that the TED Talk would be pre-recorded. So the PowerPoint presentation or the manuscript speech is live. In other words, that's what I'm grading as your mid-semester, but the TED Talk is pre-recorded as one of your coursework pieces. Jerome, go ahead for me. I see your hand is up.
Good evening, sir.
Evening.
I joined a bit late. I wasn't able to make it to the last class. I heard you talking about, I saw where you sent something in the WhatsApp group about persons in groups, and I heard you made mention of it a while ago. Could you please to give me a quick rundown, please?
So you're going to join the, so you're not in a group then?
No, sir, I'm not.
All right, so you're going to join Oran. It's Oran, Luke, and Jerome.
Evening, sir.
Yes, evening. I can't hear. Miss Wall, can you mute your mic, please? Can you mute your mic, please? We can't hear you. Just type in the chat for me, please, because your background is very extremely windy and noisy. Just type in the chat. If you're not in a group, then you're going to join Luke, Oran, Jerome. So let me just find the document that you're going to use. Let me look back at what I gave the other side. There's no overlap. Can somebody just remind us, Georgia, can you remind us what is the assignment, the mid-semester based on? Just give us a brief overview of what the assignment is on. Where did I put it? Are you there, Georgette? Well, Georgette, my connectivity is always kind of troubling, you know. Yes, she always has some issues with. Kamalia Harrison, can you give us an overview, remind us of what the mid-semester is based on? Kamalia Harrison, are you there? Kamalia Harrison, are you there? Are these persons in the class? Natalia Watson, can you remind us what the mid-semester is based on? Ms. Harrison, if you're responding, we're not hearing you, so you probably need to unmute your mic because we're not hearing you.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Are you hearing me clearly?
Yes, I am. We are hearing you clearly.
Okay, so the mid-semester is on a PowerPoint presentation. The topics would be given or have been given by sir to each group.
Mm-hmm.
You need those topics that was sent, sir?
No, you don't. We don't need the topics because I'm going to give the group. Yeah, well, go ahead. Tell us the topics. Tell us the topics, if you have them, or as many as you can remember. Okay.
Technology plus agriculture. Sorry, technology and agriculture. Human introduction to human trafficking. Where is it? Sustainable. Where are you?
And other person can chime in if they want.
Where's that gone? Give me a minute, sir.
All right, so tell us the other part until you get the topics.
Okay, so the members of the group will compile that presentation based on the information that we were sent. We are supposed to split it up in terms of audio, images, and
Text. So we said audio, text, image, audio, visual, as well as the font.
yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
And based on the video that we saw in the previous class, the gentleman pretty much gave us a rundown as to the appropriate font, some tweaks that we can make to make the presentation presentable and so that we don't bore the audience.
Mm-hmm.
He suggested some templates that we can use to assist as opposed to the standard one that we are used to on Microsoft PowerPoint.
Mm-hmm.
Where may I live?
All right, so you are giving us and it is going to be somewhat of a manuscript presentation. It's going to be live. So that is what I'm using. That is what I'm grading for your mid-semester. It is 4 to 10 minutes in length. Each member must contribute to the presentation or must make equal contribution to the presentation. I'm about to now send the other persons who are not in a group so let me just send it to them before I go any further.
Mr. Klein,
Yes.
you also mentioned last week that Monday, that you would tell us today whether or not you will extend the time period beyond next week, Wednesday.
Beyond next week. I will have to. Based on the fact that some persons and my original students, persons who are usually at class, were not at the last class. So I will definitely extend it because I know that they are usually at class, so they are not delinquent students. So I will definitely extend it. Just remind me to tell you the date. All right.
Yes.
I just want to send the email before so they get there. All right. Select course or come to. So it's Oran is one of the students. Who is the other student?
Luke, sir, Jerome, Kimi.
Luke. So Luke, Jerome, yes, I remember. I think it's Roof. And
Roof.
Kemisha is K-E-M. Yeah, Kemisha War. All right, so document for mid-semester PowerPoint presentation. PowerPoint presentation. So their students. I'm writing in a long thing. Please see the attached. That's all I'm writing. Without the energy, I'm getting old.
Sir,
Yes.
Carrie Ann Brown, she's unable to join class this afternoon, sir. She has an emergency.
All right. Thanks for telling us. Thanks for the update. Yes. No, that's not the one I gave them. That's not the one. That's not the one. Yeah. All right, so the persons who I just put in the group, Oran, Luke, Jerome, Kemisha War, can you confirm receiving the document? It's fake news and its impact on the US election. Fake news and its impact on the election. Just confirm getting it, please.
I'm seeing it, sir.
Okay, good. So it means that everybody, no, I'm speaking to everybody, that you'll have to sit down and digest the document first and then make strategic decisions about, how am I going to convert this document now into a PowerPoint presentation? Because I know the documents already, I've read through them. So I will know if you're giving us accurate information. And if you watch the last lecture, you will see that there are several points that were made about when you're doing a PowerPoint presentation, that it can't be, overburdened with words. You have to be able to speak to the PowerPoint. You're not reading from the PowerPoint. So sometimes you're using an image. Sometimes you have a clip or so forth. Let me show you an example from some students. It wasn't oral com, but so in business communication, what I gave them to do is that they had to create the PowerPoint, and I graded the PowerPoint. They never had to do a presentation at all because they were first year students. This course now takes it a bit further. You now have to do a presentation, and it is the presentation that is being graded. Okay, I think the evening group was a little bit better. The evening group was way better. And I'm listening for the 4 P's. I'm looking at, well, I'm going to send you the rubric, looking at whether or not people know exactly what they're talking about. Do they seem knowledgeable? So this one I gave 4 out of 5. As I said, this was where they just created a PowerPoint. So they got a document about COVID, and they had to pretend, and this is something that you have to do too. They pretended to be the World Health Organization, and they went to a company and they had to present about COVID in the workplace. So, and this is their PowerPoint presentation. So they define the term, they use an image. Notice their image here. In other words, the entire world now has to be wearing masks because there's a pandemic. The entire world is impacted by that. Definition. Some of this was not properly done because if you look, the image sometimes is kind of blocking the text. It's a little bit distracted, but at least they're trying to brand the PowerPoint, and their logo is on each slide. Again, they are using images because at this point in time, they are talking to the audience. They are not reading from anything. So they're showing the images and they're talking, focusing on how it is spread here. They're looking at the symptoms here. Again, they will be speaking to the audience. They're looking at prevention here. And the document is about 25 pages in length, and they brought it down. All right, notice how they're able to use image a lot. I think some of them, for this one, before the meeting, I think this part was a little bit weak because there are too many words. During the meeting, after the meeting, things to consider when traveling. This is too much. I think this is a little bit too much. I think in the last lecture, they mentioned about infographics, using infographics. This is very nice. The colors pop. The information is very clear. All right, this is one. And I want to go through all of them, but some of them is the same presentation. As I said, these are first year students. I never gave them different ones. I gave them the same document because they're just being introduced to a lot of things. This one was very strong as well. Some of them actually use, I like this is very quick. So you have the image plus the text. It's nicely branded. I think this is a video. Some of them actually use videos, but I'm not finding the videos. Like, so it became audio visual.
Sir.
Yes.
Sorry for interrupting. Can I excuse me for about 5 minutes, please?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So I know some of them actually did. They were documenting where they got their sources from. That's very, very important. And here are the group members and all of that. Some of them actually did. I didn't like this one. This one looks a little bit bleak. The PowerPoint, the PowerPoint, the background for the PowerPoint, but this is a video. I think this is a video. Can I play the video in? I don't know if I can play it in Turnitin. I should be able to. That should be a video. Hold on, let me see if I can download this thing. Where's my download? in its current view, original submitted format. Let me see if that's a video. Okay, because I think that's a video. Right, here is a video. Oh, they had a video, but they never incorporated it properly. All right, so the video was not done properly. You're seeing my screen, right, people? So this is one that is not really, was not executed very well because just the font and the images there looks very stretched. You can see that this image is stretched. As a result, some of the text is not visible or the words are not clear. And I did mark them very hard because, as I said, they are first year students. I like the color palette for this. Like this color, it's very bright, very popping. Like the color palette and the content, some of the content is okay, but some of it is, in other words, they're not consistent. This look very fuzzy. Some of the images look very fuzzy. They could have chosen better images. And some of them, the content was a little bit weak. Right. So let me show you another one. Stop sharing. So I think that was the evening students. Let's look at the day one. I think the day ones were they were much weaker. Day students tend to not do as well as evening students for some strange reason. Let's look at the day. Is it making sense to you guys? Because I want you to see how it looks. Yeah, so let's look at this one. Share screen. Share. But of course, yours would be a little bit more sophisticated because, this one, because this, I think because the similarity index was so low. All right, this one. What do you think about this color palette? This color? This branding, you like this cover?
So dark.
Yeah, it's a little bit dark. And you're educating persons about COVID, they don't want to frighten them. It's
Right.
really, you don't want to frighten them. I think this is supposed to be a video, right? They have a video. The video would play. I think it can't play in Turnitin because Turnitin doesn't allow play. But I think this one is dark and fuzzy. It looks rushed. I don't know that there's too much text here. There's a lot of text and it was very succinct. It ended kind of abruptly. And there are other things in the document. This again doesn't look as, it looks very fuzzy. The font size, the font type is a little bit jarring on the eyes. This looks, notice this one looks, it's as if, you're going to an organization as a professional body, this cannot be accepted. If you give me this at your level, I'll give you 1 out of 5. For first year students, I was a little bit measured because they are, juveniles. This now, I think the color scheme is very clear. I can read this it's very nice. But although I think it's too many words, a lot of words. This is very wordy. A lot of words. This is a nice image. A lot of words.
I like how they have the COVID sign in the background of the image.
Yes, it reminds the audience of the focus of the presentation. Let me see if I can, in the original form, the video should play. So let me see. Why are the videos not playing? I remember when I graded it, the videos actually played. So why are they not playing now? Okay, I don't know why it's not playing, but it played when I was marking their papers. And as I said, these are first year students. So I didn't, didn't murder them in terms of marking. Here they have the reference. Didn't kill them for the references because first year students. Here's another one. I don't think I like this one. I like the colors and all of that, but I don't know that the information, the content was, because look at this one, it's very fuzzy. This is very wordy, very wordy, very wordy. And remember, you want to, how do you start your presentation? How are you going to start your presentation? how do you start your presentation? That's very key, because you need somewhat of an attention getter at the beginning of your presentation. And then you need what I call a clincher at the end, a call to action at the end. What is it that you want the person or the organization or the group to do at the end of the presentation? What is it? What is your objective? What specifically is your objective? That's very, very important when you're doing the presentation. I think they ended with a video, which was pretty nice. I think even though some parts of it were weak, the ending was good.
Sir,
Yes.
you can check the chat. There's a message.
Oh, they're in class with their previous lecturer. It could be that the lecturer is explaining to them. I don't know. All right, let me call. Hopefully Dr. Malcolm is not in the class. I'm going to send Dr. Malcolm a message because she is the vice principal.
Yes, sir, there's a lot of confusion going on. Trust me. I just received an email from Miss Leela saying that I had a concern, and she said that she hoped that Mr. Riley had fixed it, but it is not fixed. So there's a lot of problem going on.
It will sort itself out. All right. The new student who joined on Monday. That's the last on Monday. Monday was what date again? November 15 was
15th,
Monday.
15th.
Right. Yeah, November 15 are now in their original class with their lecturer. How do I proceed? All right, so this is causing a whole heap of problem. All right, so if they're in a class with their previous lecturer, hold on, let me call Mr. Riley, because it means that I would have to regroup here. So that's key. I hope Mr. Riley is not in a class. All right, just spoke to the head of school, so let me take this off screen first. So apparently they have decided to go back to the original plan of Miss Carey to keep her class and I would keep mine, which means that I have to regroup because we're down to 14 students and which means 14 students. So now I have to regroup.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's
Our
what I have to do.
communication is starting at Excel and still it is a problem. Why they couldn't tell you that?
Exactly, I'm saying nobody said anything. No one said anything to me. If I hadn't called, I would not even know. And it's a good thing I have students in the class who are on top of things because I would not know because I was still, taking into consideration that they might come to the class or they're still in my class. Why am I not finding? Oh, I'm just finding my breakout room. All right, so I'm going to regroup you. And then this is going to become your group now. I'm going to regroup you. And this is going to become your group. And then you are going to, so let me tell you the group now. So please, people, and no, don't cuss me. Don't cuss me, people. We have to, and I want the system to group you. I don't want to group you. So I'm allowing the system to group you. And I'm not going to put it in the breakout room because Dr. B is coming in at 6 o'clock and we have 2 minutes to her time. And I don't want her to come and to be waiting because she's actually in a class. So she's taking time out from her lecture to come into mine to do the guest lecture. All right. So group one, I can screenshot. So let me screenshot this now. Let's take this off. All right, so you will know. So these are the new groups. I'm going to put it in the WhatsApp group. Please don't crucify me, people. You know the circumstance. That's not it. All right, and I want for you to tell me which one you're doing. So you have there are several documents. Let me reshare them, all of them at the same time, because to remove the confusion, students, all, and I actually have 31 students. Okay.
So, sir, is it for only for this course or for the other classes also? They're gone back to normal.
I have no idea. I can only speak for my course. When we have the staff meeting tomorrow, just remind me about 4 or 5 o'clock to give you some insights, okay?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Because I will raise it at that meeting to say that my students have concerns. Yes.
Okay, sir.
Good night, sir. I
Yes.
just joined class here because I received the link, so I thought class was actually 7. So I just actually click on the link. I realized that the class is going on. So I overheard something saying that the class is going to normal, so everything is back how it should be for
Yes.
Oracom.
For Oracom, how it was.
Yeah, that's what I should say. Okay. So go ahead, Miss Shirley class then.
Oh, you were in her class before, right?
Yes, I was.
Yes, you should go back into her class.
Okay.
All right. All right, so this is not the document. Why do I need to do it?
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, I'm not seeing my.
You're not seeing your? Somebody was saying something. You say you're not seeing what?
I'm not seeing my name.
Or hold on, just hold on, please. And all right, is Dr. B in yet?
Sir,
Yes.
my internet is in and out for the past couple of days.
Okay. All right, check your email if you're seeing the documents. One of which is the lecture itself, the PowerPoint presentation.
Sir, I'm not receiving any document, anything from you because I'm not on your list as yet because I still have a prerequisite override that they still haven't confirmed it.
All right, so again, that has to be sorted out by the head of school. Did you send me an email about it before?
Through Canvas, sir?
Yes, through Canvas.
Okay, I saw the notification.
Yeah, so all right, so let's pause that for now. I want to welcome my colleague, Dr. Gudapati. We call her Dr. B for short. She is the person in charge of our online distance and education center. Very, very knowledgeable, one of our best at the college. And she has consented to help you guys in terms of how to put a PowerPoint presentation together, in terms of images and sounds and text and all of that. All right, without further ado, I want to hand over to my very esteemed colleague, Dr. Gudapati.
That's such a what do you call it? Put me on a pedestal kind of introduction. Dean Clark. Wow. I'm not that good, folks. I really am not. He's just making me sound so much better. I need to take him to all my PR events if I ever have any. And that's why he's the guru of that. Thank you so much for inviting me, Dean Clark. I always love imparting what little knowledge I have on these things, but I look forward and hopefully the students will learn something. Before I get started though, and I apologize for not using my camera, but I'm having an internet issue right now and I'm actually on data. And please let me know and type it in the chat if you're not hearing me. I know earlier I was having some issues with that, but do let me know if you're not hearing me. But can I have a show of hands who is, when they use PowerPoint? I'm sure all of you have used PowerPoint at some point, but well, let's see. How many of you have used PowerPoint to create presentations? Quick show of hands or a check mark or type it in the chat. All right. Seeing the hands coming up, the check marks coming up. So let's see, just we have 18 people minus myself and Ingar. That's 16 of you. I still have a few who are not showing. So would you, for those of you who raised your hand, would you say you're quite adept or quite good at it, or you think you just know the basics?
Just the basic.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Your basics might be better than I'm thinking, but let's see how I do. And you can, and by all means, I'm always willing to learn. So if somebody out there is better than me, and like I said to Dean Clark, I'm not really that great, but I am more than happy to share. All right. So I'm gonna start off by just opening my PowerPoint and starting at the very beginning to show you some of the basic things that you can look at. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. And the first thing when you open your PowerPoint is it's going to ask you, do you want to use a theme? And there are a lot of themes that Microsoft offers, and you can actually create your own themes. And these are some of the common ones that Microsoft offers, and they're awesome. They're really great to start with, and then you can change them up as you go along with some of the tools that are offered. And I sometimes prefer to go with a blank theme because then I can build on it. And so let's start with a blank, or I should say a blank slate. All right. So we'll start with a blank slate, and it comes with absolutely nothing in it. All right. So when you start, one of the things that when I create PowerPoints, let me resume share. I thought it was sharing. I'm not sure why it's not.
We are seeing your screen.
Oh, you are seeing it. Okay.
Yes, we are.
It says resume share on mine. So I thought for some reason you aren't seeing it.
And I see Oran, you raised your hand. Sorry, Dr. B. Oran, you had a question?
Yes, go ahead.
No, that was from
from before.
Okay.
My lord. And I will see raised hands as they pop up, but just in case I missed it, I'm sure Dean Clark will let me know. And if there are any questions in the chat, please feel free to stop me if I'm going too fast, or if there's something that you'd like me to demonstrate. All right. Now you'll notice when you get this blank slate, all right, you have lots of tools in Microsoft that you can use. And by the way, Microsoft 365, which is online, you can use that. And also, this is similar to Google Slides, maybe a little differences here and there, but once you can do a good Microsoft PowerPoint, you can do Google Slides as well. So, some of the tools are pretty much the same. They may be just in a different layout, that's all. So the home page is where you are able to see on the home page. Let's just talk about a little bit about what is here and available for you. You'll notice here, on the home page, it says paste, cut, copy. You can add a new slide, and it's going to ask you what kind of slide. So you can actually say, I want just a plain slide with content, or I want a section header, which means I separate sections. All right.
Excuse me.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. I don't know if it is my laptop or what, but I'm only seeing the screen where it offers the different templates.
Okay, let me stop, and I'm going to share again. All right, I'm going to do a new share. Can you see it now?
Yes, miss.
All right, great. I had a feeling something was off. All right, so what you're seeing is the blank slate layout. All right, and here, as I was saying, you can do a new slide. Why do you use some of these different things? Different things are, if, for example, if you want to do a to content, all right, this is great if you're doing a slide on comparing something, strengths and weaknesses. So you're doing a marketing plan and you want to demonstrate strength and weakness, or put together, a SWOT analysis of something. So you could use something like this for that. And you could even create a table. Notice it gives you the tools within this area to put things in. So you could add a table, you could add a graph, you could do some sort of smart art, and we'll talk about that in a minute. You can add shapes and 3D models and things like that. You can add an image, in this case that's an icon, sorry, and I'll show you images. This is a video, or you want to insert in. You can add an image from your computer, and this is the wonderful part, and this is the part I use a lot, you can add an image from the internet online. And guess what? These images now, you don't have to worry about copyright. So I can type in, for example, I can type in PowerPoint. I have to learn how to spell PowerPoint apparently first. All right, PowerPoint. And so I've got PowerPoint, and there I go. I've got all these wonderful things coming up. There's so much PowerPoint. And say I just really want this nice little image here. That's really awesome. So I'm going to click on it, and I'm just going to say insert. All right, so right there, I've got my inserted PowerPoint. Now, here's the cool feature that I absolutely love, and I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but that's because you're seeing if you should see my design ideas popping up at the side. So I'm going to take this out and take out the online pictures. All right, so here on these tabs at the top, and let me see if I'm not able to expand that, but at the top here you'll notice it says home, it says insert. Insert is where you can insert pictures, you can insert a screenshot, and the screenshot can be a screen clipping, etc. And of course I have to open system preferences. I'm not going to do all of that right now. You can also get what's called add-ins. Add-ins are extras, and again it's taking me to another place. And add-ins, let me show you where add-ins come from. So add-ins will take you to the Microsoft PowerPoint add-ins area, and some of these are free, some of them you have to pay for, so be careful. So for example, Mentimeter Interactive Presentations is a great tool. Some of your teachers may use that. You can do comic characters, and it's free. So all the ones that you're seeing here are actually free that you can add. You can add forms and things like that. All right, you can add a timer if you're doing a timer and say you're doing a timed activity. But I also will look for the ones with the stars, which ones are really easy to use and which ones seem to have good results. All right, so you can add. Let me go back to my PowerPoint. So you can actually add quite a few things. All right, let me remove the image because we want to work with the blank slate here. So again, you can add in the home page. This is where you can add your new slides. You can choose a layout that you want. All right, you can reset something. You can add a section if you want. All right, adding a section allows you to title it, and under that section you do all the slides that come with that. All right, and this is why you want sections, is because it allows you to be able to use to organize your material a little better. All right, and to be able to say, now we're going to move on to this and move to the next section and have that available. But one of the easiest ways I find to really section something is really just to add a section header. A section header allows you to separate. So suppose you're going to present on a marketing plan, and the first part of the marketing plan, and I don't do this often on marketing plans or anything, but I know Dean Clark does. So the first part of your plan, maybe you need to give a summary of the of the overview of what's happening. So you do a summary, and you're saying here is what the analysis shows, and you're doing all your graphs and showing what's happening. And then you do a section that says analysis, and then you do a section that says possible threats or whatever. So you can section it off in different ways, and it allows your audience to be able to follow you a little easier. So it's really important that before you begin any PowerPoint presentation, folks, is that you outline what you plan on doing. All right, now that could be by setting up a contents title slide or an objective slide to say the objectives of this presentation are, or in this presentation we'll be looking at, and you could remove that slide later if you wanted, but it's always a good idea to get that open so that you can see how that helps to guide you and you don't go off track. All right, now that you've kind of got your blank slate, you want to maybe start thinking about what kind of fonts do you want to use. So you get into the font area, and once you click in the box, you have lots of choices on different fonts. Remember, your fonts should when you use fonts, just because they look pretty doesn't mean it's a good idea to use them. Remember your audience. Always remember the audience you're using and how you want to do it. So for example, maybe I want to use a Bookman Old Style, which is kind of a neat little font, and usually with PowerPoints you want your font size to be large enough. Anything less than 18 is probably not a good idea in PowerPoints. All right, so you want to keep it at an 18 or above, and usually the larger the better, so your audience can see. When it's too small, and you don't be afraid to use up the space, all right, but not to go over. You want to leave the edges with a little bit of a border, just like you sort of see here. All right. So let's say we're going with a 24 font style. All right, and a Bookman style. Now I can do a lot of things, but here's the nice part. I can say, you know what? Let me type in Bookman style. All right. And I want this to look kind of special, so I can go to what's called a shape format also, and here I can highlight the font or whatever I've chosen, and I can choose these different text formats. All right, word art as they call it. Now one of my favorites is this one, because it kind of pops out at you, and then you can change the color. That's the text fill, and you can change the text fill color to something red, and you'll notice, and let's make this a little bigger so that you can actually see what that looks like. So you notice how it pops at you, right? It's kind of like it's coming off of the page sort of thing. So that's a really great style. I like using it, but don't overuse it too much. All right, don't overuse the shape formats too much. The other thing you can do is you can look at the shapes, the color of the shape and the background that you want to have. So I could say I want a background that's blue with the red, and you know, how does that look? Wow, notice how that makes me almost go blind. That red is too glaring and doesn't sit well, so I may have to change that color to maybe a gray, and the gray is too light, so a white probably stands out better against the blue. So know how your colors match, all right, and how, so it takes a little bit in terms of the knowledge of the colors. Now notice that if I were to go into presentation mode, how that pops out at me, you know, and stands out a bit more. So that's one of the things. Now the other thing you want to look at is using your other editing tools here. You've got Subscript. You can make the font bigger just by using the A up here, or you can make it smaller. You can also clear all formatting if you want to quickly clear it. All right, I'm not going to do that right now. And you can do things like this is called kerning. All right, the spacing between your letters, you can make it very tight, or you can make it very loosey-goosey, and it goes out even further. So you can make your font separate more if you want to. Let me pause for a minute, and if you want more spacing, you can go in and say what you want. So use the kerning of the fonts. It's at a 12 point. You can make it bigger if you want. So I could say 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, and it should separate more. It's okay where it is. I can even say, you know, what line spacing options I want. There's no line spacing. I could say I want double spacing, and I want after each paragraph, I want 6 point after each paragraph. So that's going to give me, but maybe I want to center it at the very middle, align my font and everything. All right, so I want to make it at the very middle of everything. Notice everything moves with everything when I move the lining. All right, any questions so far? Is this, I'm assuming some of this is very basic knowledge that many of you use already. I mean, I don't want to assume too much, but all right. So because I know there's a lot to do, and I want to get to, you know, giving you some good tips without taking up all the time, because I know Dean Clark, is this class only till 7 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay, so let me push through a bit. All right, so you know, so don't be afraid is what I want to say, is to use these wonderful tools that you have here. Here you've got your pictures, and from pictures here you can pick from the picture, you can pick a picture from a file, you can pick stock images, and stock images will come up usually on the side, and basically stock images are just anything that Microsoft is giving you, and you can have images or icons, and icons are always fun when you're trying to do little things like, you know, you're saying oh, let me, you know, I'm going to talk about aliens, and I want to have an alien bullet point here. So there's my little alien, you know, and I can make an alien bullet point, make it small, and use the alien as my bullet point. You know, As I was telling you earlier, one of the things that Microsoft does is give you what's called design ideas. All right. And the design idea is up here right beside home, insert, draw, and design. So when I click on design, not only is it picking the type you want to look at, maybe the type of slide you want to use. Your templates are here. Say I want to go with the black and white, all right? Or I want to go with this green. I can change that up, and it looks at it and it changes colors, all right? And note, and then over here it gives you options. It doesn't have to be that green. I could change it to a green, a blue, a purple. You can use the drop down button here to add new font office different colors, and you can even customize the colors, all right? And you can choose the background styles. You know, what do you want for the background to be? Now barring that, let's just undo a lot of this because I wanted my blank slide, all right? What you've got here is design ideas. There's a little tab here on the very right side. You see it says slide size. By the way, some of you may automatically have your PowerPoint set at the standard 4.3, which is that square box, all right? And let me scale it down. All right, let me scale. And that's what that looks like. While it's okay, what it doesn't do is what I call give you a lot of working real estate. You know, I like to call it I don't even know what to call it. It's slide real estate, all right? So that you have more of the slide to work with and do a lot more fun stuff with. So this widescreen 16:9 is a better slide to work with, all right? And then the design ideas now, everything I have here, it's going to take it and it's going to give me some options. How can I set this design idea? Can I do it this way? Maybe I want to do it like this. You know, it's going to give me some neat little options, and usually you're able to see the options on the side, and it'll keep going until you pick one that you like. Now that's not to say that you have to stick exactly. You can choose one that looks like, yeah, that looks like what I want to do, but I want to change it up a little bit, all right? So I have lots of design ideas I can choose from, making my PowerPoint a little bit more interesting, you know, a little bit cooler when I do it, and things like that. So my alien guy is really not doing a lot for me. So if I were to go with this, for example, I could say, you know what, I'm going to change that shape format to something green. You know, the guy's looking a little green, and then I'm going to change the background and add a background, maybe add a background image. So I can go back to my images and say online pictures, and I can put aliens, and here I've got, oh yeah, here's a really creepy one. All right, maybe we won't go so creepy. Let's do world or space, because we normally think of aliens in space. So let's see, I'm going to go with this. Let's go with this. All right, and it's going to come and it's going to put it in, and then I'm going to say I'm just going to make it into my background. All right, I'm going to drag it, make it bigger, and you'll notice it always comes with a copyrighted statement, and the copyrighted statements are pretty much the same. You can just usually put them in the center somewhere, and it's a good idea to have it. Now center your and you can actually make this into a background. So what I could do is I can say change the background. I'm going to send this, and I'm going to say send backwards. All right, so there's my alien popping up. I'm going to say send to back, and then it's disappeared. But I'm going to remove this background. I'm going to say, hold on, format background, and I'm going to say picture or texture fill. All right, and apply to all. I should have had that picture, but let me do something here. Hold on 1 second. Oops. So I'm going to choose this background. I'm going to copy it so that it's in my clipboard. And then when I go here to my, and I'm going to delete that, delete it. And then I'm going to go here and I'm going to say picture or texture fill. And I'm going to say from clipboard. All right. And the clip, that should be the image that I just copied. Hopefully it did copy. There you go. So you notice all my images now have that background, right? So I've got a cool background that I've decided that's what I want for my background, because I'm doing a report on aliens, and that's what I want. And then this now, I really need to hide background graphics. No, I'm not sure why this one is still there, but as I said, I'm not perfect at this. I still have to work around. But now I can do my texting on this. Now, you know, usually when you have texting that's coming up like this, where it's black, this is where those shape formats come in nicely. All right. So here your shape format can be a transparent or semi-transparent shape format. It doesn't have to be solid, so that you can still see that really cool background. All right, so there it is. I can still see the background, but I can do my writing here. All right. So I can have an awesome background, but I can still see the writing, and it's not taking away from the writing, and it's allowing me to add content. So the shapes are great in terms of allowing you. So I can add a table here. Let's say I'm going to add a table with 5 rows, or let's say 4 rows and 3 columns, and I'm going to insert it. All right. And it's going to get inserted here. Now I can pull my table down. All right. And I can change my table colors. I can make them, you know, different colors. The shading I can change. You know, the effects, I can add a bevel to my shape, you know, to make it more prominent, or a shadow, and then remove the bevel, you know, no bevel. Sorry. Did someone have a question?
No, I think her mic went off.
Okay, all right. And you can do 3D images. That's another thing that you have available to you. You can create from the 3D images here. Let's say we wanted aliens again, since we're going with alien theme, or I am anyway. So there we go. We've got our cool little aliens. Let's see. Let's pick something interesting. I guess we'll go with this little guy here. He's green. He's kind of cool. So now 3D models, because they are a little bit heavier in terms of, because they're going to make your PowerPoint a little bit more, what's the word I want to use? Have a little bit more content. So now, is that just not the coolest thing? Having my little 3D guy, and I can make him taller, and here he is welcoming himself to Earth or wherever it is. So you can add these, you know, these 3D images. You can make them small. You could have him be like a little guide throughout your entire presentation. Have him up here, you know, and he or whatever you're using could be a guide throughout, and say let's see where Arnold the alien is going. All right, and then, you know, so make your aliens a little bit. Now you notice one of the things is you have animated models. You don't just have plain models, but you have animated models. These means these actually open and do things. So suppose I wanted a pumping heart. I can insert the pumping heart here. And again, because it's a 3D model, and then on top of that it's an animated one, it could take a little bit more time to come in. all right? But when you do use them, and use them sparingly, don't use a lot. You do notice up here for my 3D model, let me cancel this because that's taking a while. So I'm going to cancel that out. Oh dear, he's taking forever to cancel. That's one of the problems you'll run into, folks, because sometimes when you're trying to input these animations and these 3D models, they do take up a bit of time, and so you have to be careful. But while you're looking at that, if you'll notice at the top here, right, you have the 3D model, but you notice there's different versions and views of this 3D model of this little guy here, right? That's happening. So I could have this little blob, I could have the back of his head, just his head, that sort of thing. So there are different things that you can see. Oh boy, I hope I'm not frozen. Let me just check to see if my beep beep PowerPoint frozen. Let's see. I may have to quit it and start again if it's frozen. No, it's not frozen. Oh, there it is, finally, right. Oops. So here, if you notice, here it is. We can do the side of him. We can animate him and turn him around using that, that little thing. I can go sideways, up and down, I can make him look like he's looking down. Then I've got the head, and if I turn the head around, and there he is, so it's like, there's the back of him, that sort of thing. All right, so you've got a lot of different versions, sideways. So there's a lot of cool things you can do with those 3D models. All right, so have fun. It's just just there he is pointing at something. I think that's he's probably like, yeah, look at me. All right, and then you can move your maybe you can move him here to show that he's looking at the chart, something like that. All right, so don't be afraid to play with the tools. So that's and then let's go to our design. Sometimes design works, sometimes it will not work. So notice for this, because it's got the 3D model and certain things, it says, so sorry, no design ideas for this, because they do basic designs based on just basic layouts and so forth. So anything more than that could be a little bit tough for the design ideas to come through. But at least if they give you a starting point, you can then take it and do other things. But as I said, you don't need to depend on the design ideas. That just helps and makes it a little bit more. Now, if I were to go back here, the design ideas will pop and tell me what I can and cannot do. Again, though, it's telling me no, just because it's being just mean. But then you have draw. If you're really artistic and you work with you can draw with your trackpad, or so I can go here and I can try and draw something, but I'm really awful at that, so I would not. But you notice there's an option. Let me so I'm gonna undo that drawing that I just did. Right, whoops, went too far. And I'm using my redo and undo buttons at the top. All right, so I'm just gonna pick on this and delete it. Got it. I can turn ink into shapes. So I can click on that and I can say turn ink into text, if it can figure out what the text is, or I can turn the ink into a shape. All right, and there it is. It thought I was trying to say fewer, so it changed it to fewer. That's not what I was saying, but okay. All right.
Dr. Godapati, you're still there? Are we hearing her, or because I know she sometimes has internet challenges?
I say we're not hearing.
All right, so I know from time to time she has internet issues based on where she is. Why Digicel and or cable and wireless, I don't know what's going to happen with some sensible telecommunication companies, because I think that is her challenge. Even in staff meetings, sometimes she's in, sometimes she's out. All right, were we understanding? So she's bringing a different perspective. Were we understanding what she was trying to assist you with in terms of designing and the way you can bring to life your presentation, your PowerPoint presentation?
Yes, sir. But the thing is, sometimes we're doing a presentation, like maybe we're in class and we're asked to do one. It is rushed, so we don't get to use all of those features. But like our assignment that is coming up now, that we have time to prepare it, then we can use all of those.
Right. So you get enough time to actually do the, because it makes no sense you are learning how to do the PowerPoint presentation and then you're not using the various features that you're being introduced to. Dr. B, you're back?
I'm back. Sorry, as I said, my internet is a bit stable and I guess it decided to go wonky on me at the same time.
Yes. All right. So I'll allow you to continue.
Right.
All
So, and I heard Dean Clark sharing with you that, it's really important that I see a lot of students come in and they do use some of the design features and things like that, but they get to it and I think, I don't know if you become frightened by it or something, but some students will use it well and some students are like, nope, not gonna do it. All right. You know what? I'm going to open a recent presentation that I put together just to kind of show you, here is one where, I was doing a presentation with a group and like you, I'm back in school. So, I have to put together a presentation. So here's one where I created the cover. This is the cover, and your cover. Sorry?
It doesn't come up as it.
Oh, sorry, you're not seeing it. Sorry. I forgot. All right, there you go. So, this, you're seeing it now, right?
Yes, please.
Right. So this is the cover of the, or what we say, the starting slide. Your starting slide does not have to be boring, folks. It does not have to be this one little, whatever. So I put an image in and I allowed the design idea to give me some ideas, and then I, manipulated it a little bit with the type of font I used and things like that. So I decide what, and so it makes your presentation more unique. All right. The next slide, sorry, I'm using some, tools like the animation tools to bring up. So as I go through and I present, I say, here, we're going to talk about this, and then step 1, step 2. This allows you and your audience to stay, it's a way to keep your audience engaged. They're waiting to see what next you're going to bring up. And then we go into, now, normally I would tell you, I tell my
You're breaking up very bad, Dr. B. I don't, they heard. You're breaking up. Yes, I don't know if the sharing is what is causing the challenge.
I'm wondering if that is causing it, but I don't think so. I think it's just my internet is just a little bit unstable, and You know, unfortunately, where I live, that happens a lot. It's not necessarily new. So for example, here, folks, you're doing and here you notice how many design ideas popped up, right? But I like my background. I don't want to really change my background unless it's going to let me keep it. Although this is kind of a cool background. You know, some of these ideas that come up, you're like, oh yeah, that's kind of neat. But I am not going to. But I mean, if you wanted to, you could go say, I want more color, something like that. Or but remember, you're also talking about how much space you have to put the information you have. So the more image you have, the less space you have. So you have to be careful that you choose something that's going to give you more. Now this is a title slide. What I want is an information slide. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to say add a new slide, and notice how I get the slide with all the background pictures that I have. So I'm going to say I want a well, there's a comparison slide, the two content. I'm going to go with just a title slide, and I'm going to change the shape format here, and I'm going to change it to sorry, whoops, although we do have some options here that come up, but it's not giving me what I want. This doesn't look bad, but it's not Christmas yet, so I don't want that. All right, so I'm going to go into my shape format, and right here I'm going to say, you know what, I want a shape with, say, blue, and it's standing out a little blue, and I'm going to type in there power points are points. All right, and then below that now I'm going to add insert a text box. So I've got word art here that I can work with, but I may, you know, what I may want to use is smart art. I may want to say, you know what, I want to put a list, and I've got a lot of lists to choose from. Or maybe I want to, I'm talking about a process, so you want to talk about the marketing process or communication listening process, you know, then you want to put that process in. Or you're talking about a cycle of events, and then you want to put that in. Or maybe you're describing an organizational chart, and so you want to put a hierarchy type of smart art in. So I'm going to just go with a list, and I'm going to go with a pretty simple version of a list. I'm not going to go with anything extravagant. All right, so I'm going to say, let me go with this basic text box list, but this is boring. I've only got one color, and I want something more. So I want to go with a colorful list, and then I've got options at the top here where I can choose how I want them to look. I'm going to go with a nice matte look. You can go with a more glossy look if you want, or a brighter look, and then you've got a glossier look. All right, there's so many options. You want a big 3D effect kind of look, you can go for that, or a beveled look. All right, so there are lots of options. This, I call this the Star Wars look, you know, where it's going up the wall, so to speak. So my favorite is always one of the, you know, the nice beveled sort of matte, but and got a bit of a bevel to it look. All right, so that's that one, and it's got some bright colors. Now I will have to kind of adjust this because I want this to come down here, but I want to have space enough so and wide enough that I can use all that space to really put in the text I want, because text can get really small at this point. So I'll say point 1, whoops, 1, and I make a point. All right, remember, the important thing when you're doing PowerPoint is that you use the points to help you remember what you are talking about. All right, you should be knowledgeable about the topic you're talking about, and so use the points to say point 1 is doing you know, setting the basic structure of a outline of a PowerPoint. All right, and so so you say, so folks, when you're setting up PowerPoint, first point is that you set the basic structure, and then you're going to elaborate now. This is where you free form talk about it and explain what that is. All right. Point 2, and then you bring that up and explain that. So the points are there to remind you what to talk about, so you can have your notes on your side. And that's also where we have the note taking. If you notice, there's actually a section here at the bottom that says click to add notes. All right, so the click to add notes section is there for you to add your notes. So when you're in presenter mode, you can use the notes to help you talk about what is there for the point. And that way, those big paragraphs that you have, and you still shouldn't be reading anything because that gets boring for people. You should be presenting. You should be talking about what it is that you're presenting. All right. And I know most of you know this, but you know, I'm sure like I did in college, you waited till the last minute to do the assignment, and then you have to be rushing and putting it together. And so you just grab paragraphs. How many of you are guilty of that? I know you are. All right, so you want to be able to use the smart art in this way when you're you know, the little things. And here's our little alien friend we've got here, and we can bring him. You can just copy it, go to a different slide and paste. All right, copy and paste, and there he is. I can move him around. I can say let him put between points, you know, and make him come. Now if I had more time, I would show you how you can animate through one of these things, and that would probably have to be a whole different session, because animating something takes like 10 slides that you have to put together to make one slide work the way it should. All right, but animation is great, but you do have simple animation. For example, and let me take this out, this whole thing out. Maybe I just want to put in a text box. All right, and here in the text box, I'm just going to type hello, how are you? And let me change the shape format again. I can go in here and I'm going to change it to a nice blue. That's too bright for me. All right, let's make it a blue background. There we go. Go with that same blue background. I'll center it. Now I want these to come one after the other, so I'm going to highlight these, and I'm going to use transition. First of all, you can use transitions to go from slide to slide, but I can use animations here. I can say, you know what, I want a checkerboard effect, and that's the checkerboard effect. You can decide which one you want and test it before you dissolve in, or I want it to fly in, peek in, random bars, shape, and there's a lot of different ones. You know, one of the ones I love is the float in. The float in is always nice when you know, add a little music, but you can also add exit and entrance effects, and again, this takes a lot more time. And an animation path, which will tell you in which direction animation should come from and come into your PowerPoint. All right, and obviously no one caught the fact that I misspelled PowerPoints. All right, and then in addition to the animation, when this animation comes in, I can say let me grow or shrink. All right, so let's preview that. Let's go ahead and preview, and then see how it grows. So that you can do that. I can undo the grow and shrink, and I can say, you know what, let me do, let's see, the bold flash. Now again, you only use these if you're trying to, you know, have, say for example, you want to have a particular, after you've made a point, you want that point to be emphasized, then you use something like a bold flash, or a make the image or whatever come up and, you know, get bigger before it goes back, and so forth. All right, so you can add additional text effects onto these things, and so forth. All right, so there's a lot you can do, and Microsoft actually does different, what do you call a set of tutorials on this. And can I tell you folks, a lot of this is easy to learn through Google School. All right. I mean, I am showing you some, and you know, I love talking about PowerPoint and what you can do with it, but there's a lot more that you can do, and I really wish I had a lot more time to show you how to do that. Let's make this a little bigger. Let me show you how to do a transition. So if I want to move from this slide, from my alien slide to my next slide, I can decide on what I want to use. Now you all probably have used this. So that's a morph, that's a fade in, that's a push up, all right? Or I can swipe. Now I've only done this to this slide. If I want to do it to all the slides, I have to select them all, and then I have to say morph. All right, so now if I go into my slide presentation and I play this, and I move from, it's morphing in, all right? Now morphing in isn't as dramatic, right, as some of the others could be. So say for example, let's select everything, and we're going to say we don't want to use morph in. Let's see, I want to use, where's that one that I always like to use? All right, let's try. That's not the one, but I thought maybe it'll be interesting for us to see it from the presentation, because it doesn't really show when you do it this way. All right. Again, this one is just objects. It doesn't really show much. But the curtain one, it's Vortex. I'm looking for Vortex, and I don't see Vortex here for some reason. Let me see if I can find it. Ah, here's the more exciting one. Right, here we go. I'm gonna select all and pull this down. This is like a cool one. The honeycomb is kind of interesting. I like the Vortex, which is kind of neat, but let's try the honeycomb. All right, and then we're going to, and that's what the honeycomb looks like. All right, and if we do it from the beginning. Now remember, you don't always use these in every way and every place. All right, and this works with the whole alien theme. If you think about it, the honeycomb, kind of breaking things up. So you also want to think when you're designing these things, you know, would this work with this theme? And also, who's your audience? Again, you know, if you're presenting for a professional body, you may want to stick with something very simple, like gallery, you know, that just moves from one to one. That's a pretty simple, you know, move from left to right or right to left, you can say. And also while you're doing the changes, one of the things you want to do is how long do you take, and is there a sound? You can add a sound, by the way, as these things change. All right, so for example, as each of these changes, I can say add a sound of let's make it laser, since we're going alien. All right, and let's see how that goes. So you may want this laser sound, but interestingly enough, you can pull your own music in, and you can actually voice over. Okay, that's the other thing you can do, is here in insert, you can go here where it's got all this wonderful stuff. By the way, here's a zoom, summary zoom, slide zoom. This allows you to zoom in to an area and make it bigger. All right, so lots of different tools, but here's the audio tool. You can get an audio from the browser, from your files, stock videos, and you can add audio from a file, audio, or record audio. So suppose you want to, for some reason, one of you is going to miss class, but you need to make sure your part of the presentation is done. You can actually record the slides that you were supposed to do. So I can record and say, hi, this is B, and I'm doing my version of PowerPoint presentation. And then you can stop, and it's there, and you can say insert it, and it's going to be here. And you can move that insert anywhere. You can move it to the end here. And then when that is played, now the important thing is, you'll notice it's here, but you also have to set some rules for playback. All right, when will it start? It's going to start on click of the slide or automatically, or when clicked on. So it's only when you click on it will it play, or automatically you get to you want it to play across the slides, and do you want it to loop until it stops and hide the whole thing during the show and rewind after playing? Do you want to have background music that's playing in the background? You know, say you're waiting and you want to have a slide with background music. You can actually trim this. You can go into it and trim and bring it down to the size that you want it to within the audio. You can actually do some editing here as well. All right, so if I were to go into presentation mode, I can record and say, hi, this is B, and I'm doing my version of PowerPoint presentation. And then, so, whoops, I stopped sharing instead of stopped doing whatever. And you can, sorry, let me go back to that. So you can see, you know, that one was set to play automatically. I don't know why it keeps going away from screen sharing. Not sure. All right, so it plays automatically here. All right, so adding audio, adding video, make sure though, remember, any video audio you add to your files is going to make it that much bigger, a bigger file. So usually a PowerPoint can be like 5 megabytes. By the time you add video and audio to it, you can be going up to 300 megabytes and so forth. And if you're going to be sharing it, you'd have to put it into like a Google Drive or something like that to share it with others. So again, lots of different, you can use the fade in and fade out to fade in music and to fade music out. So, you know, you're really doing, there's just so much, folks, that you can do. And I see
You're breaking up again, Dr. B. I don't know if you want to stop share.
Can you probably clap? Hello?
Yes, we're just hearing you now.
Hello? Oh, okay. I was going to say I stopped sharing because I know you're at the top of the hour now. I was just saying I will share some links with you so that you can share with the students where they can get some more information on doing some good PowerPoints.
All right.
I hope you got a few tips.
Yes. Sincere thanks on behalf of the class, Dr. B, for imparting knowledge. And I'm sure they'll have to watch the recording in order to remind themselves about the various steps. And I will be marking for some of these things in their presentation because it's oral communication, and what they're doing for their mid-semester is a live presentation, and that is what is being graded.
Okay, so creativity is going to count, folks.
Yes, creativity is a part of it. So it's not just the quote-unquote public speaking, but how they're able to integrate the various features that they have been introduced to.
Right, a big part of public speaking, though, and communication is how you present yourself. So
right.
Those PowerPoint presentations are a big part of that communication process.
Right. All right, thanks, Dr. B. Yes, I sincerely appreciate it. All righty. All right, guys, it's 7 o'clock. I'm going to end the class at this time because I have another lecture at 7, exactly at 7 o'clock. So we can discuss in the other class about the groups and all of that. All right.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, you need to confirm the date, new date for the assignment.
I'll confirm that in the other lecture.
All right, and I'm seeing only 3 names in my group.
I think the numbers would increase. All right, so the names, are you seeing the persons who are not in a group now, based on what was posted in the WhatsApp group?
Sir, I'm not in a group.
All right, so raise your hands for me, please. The persons who are not in a group. Can you just raise your hands for me? All right, so
Sir, could you repeat, please?
persons who are not in a group, can you raise your hands, please? All right, so we have how many persons? 1, 2, 3. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 persons. All right. Georgette, is it that you're in a group or you're not in a group? You put down your hand, I don't know.
Not in a group, sir.
So keep your hand raised, please. All right, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so I want it to be 3, 3. All right, so Dana, Sarita, and Patricia. Dana, Sarita, and Patricia, you're in a group by yourself. All right, did you get that? Dana, Wang Su, and Patricia Williams, you're in a group by yourself.
Noted, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
All right. Kamalia, Georgette, and Natalia Watson, you're in a group by yourself. So Natalia, I'm taking you out of room 2, all right, or group 2. The persons just took down your, so George, who are the person? The names I just called, I don't know, I told you to keep your hands raised, people, because I'm not going to remember. Natalia, who did I say with whom you're working again? Because their hands were raised and they took it down.
Amalia and Georgette.
All right, so, and they are in, so you're working with them, all right? So you're no longer in group 2 or room 2. All right, so we have sorted out the groups. Look at the documents that were emailed, and if you can probably, we talk via WhatsApp in terms of which one you want to do. So put together the group the names of the group and the one that you're interested in doing, all right? And we can negotiate from there. And we finalize everything in the following lecture. I must go because I'm 4 minutes late in my other class, to my other class. All right, bye everybody.
Okay, sir, bye.
Bye, sir.